If there are
I'll
no
move
approve.
approval of the minutes as presented.
Second.
Who
Okay, we
did
have
the who did the second on that?
Kit.
Kit. Okay, thanks.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and let's just do a voice vote for approval. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It passes. So moving on, the next thing is to offer up communications from the floor. 5 minutes maximum per person for anyone that would like to speak to items not on the agenda. And do we have anyone in the room at all?
And I just should note that L. Woods is Lance Woods, one of the planners in my office. He's just sitting in on this meeting to observe and potentially be the staff person to take this over.
Okay, other than that, is there anyone waiting, wishing to make comments?
I do not see any, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we'll move on. The next docket item is election of chair and vice chair. And as I missed the last meeting, I'm relatively short tenure. But what we'd like to move, okay, so let's move. And any discussion or any nominations of names for chair?
Well, I'll nominate you, Jeff, if you're game to continue on, my friend.
Like I said, I missed the last meeting, so it's a short one. So yeah, absolutely.
Second.
Any other discussions, nominations? Okay, let's move on to a vote. And for this, we'll need a roll call vote, I presume.
That would be the preference, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we can go ahead with that.
All right, Rogers,
Yes.
Mary Start,
Yes.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Alan Halstead,
Yes.
Kit Johnson,
Yes.
and Merrill Hunkel.
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes. So now we need to elect a vice chair. And in keeping with form, I'll be first up and nominate current vice chair Kit Johnson, if he'd be willing to carry on.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other nominations or discussions? Okay, let's move on to a roll call vote.
Rick Rogers,
Yes.
Mary Start,
Yes.
Jeff Musall,
Yes.
Alan Halstead,
Yes.
John Johnson,
Yes.
and Merrill Kunkel.
And the motion
Yes.
passes. Oh, sorry, Meryl, jumped the gun on you there.
All right.
The motion passes. So we have that out of the way, and now moving on, it looks like next is the recommendations for member at large positions. And what I'm looking at, Doug, it looks like we had a few drop-offs from who there were at the last meeting.
Yeah, that
So,
is correct, Mr. Chair. So where we were at, so Jack Lyda was nominated, went through the confirmation process with City Council and the County Board of Commissioners. But unfortunately, Jack reached out to me after the first of the year and he moved out of the area. So we have an open member at large. And so I did send out an email to all of the commission members to give me some nominations. I also drew from the list that we had last November. So through that, I reached out to Philip Higgins and he declined, talked with Vicky Shepard, she declined. I had a couple other possible nominations from Dean Worth, but he chose not to. Then it was brought to my attention Charlie Harris, but Charlie lived more than a mile away. So he was excluded from that. I did receive a nomination for Ken Summers. So his bio is in your packet. And I reached out to David Wall again because he was on the list back from November. Did not hear back from him, but David's information is in the minutes about his background. So what we essentially have is two individuals for consideration, Mr. Summers and Mr. Wall. So I'll turn it back over to the chair and the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Rux. So just to clarify, so those are the two positions we have. If one of the commissioners had someone else they were to bring in, it would be a moot point. At this juncture, we need to select from the two candidates presented.
You have two in front of you. If the commission chose to delay that, you could delay it to your next meeting, and you could reach out to me again so I could reach out to the individuals so I can get the bio to include in your packet. You could reconsider it at your August 23rd meeting.
Okay, I was just looking for clarification to see if I needed to ask anyone if they had someone they wanted to nominate. So at this point, let's turn it over to let's see, Ken Summers is here, right?
Yes,
And-
Mr. Summers.
And
is here.
hi, Ken, would you mind just giving us a quick statement?
Sure.
By the way,
Well,
if-
I have been a resident of Newberg or the Newberg area for almost my entire adult life. My family moved here in 1959 to the Parrot Mountain area. My wife and I moved back into the city in 1983 when I began working for the city of Newberg. I was with the Newberg Police Department for just short of 20 years, leaving 12 of those I was detective sergeant. Left in 2003 to take an administrative role with the sheriff's office. I was an operations captain there, retired, and then went to the city of Cornelius, where I was the chief of police. Since then, I did an interim chief's positions, just helping out police departments that are in trouble and needing some assistance in policy and personnel issues and things like that. I am retired now. I'm vitally interested in Newberg affairs. We currently live about 100 yards outside the city limits on the Dillon Road, actually on West Sheridan Street, but kind of the Dillon Road area, just outside the city. We have urban growth boundary right behind us. The piece of my back fence is the property line. And I'm just, I think it's time to get re-engaged with the city of Newberg and with the counties. I've been retired for a couple of years now and kind of pulled back, and I think I still have something to offer. I see myself as the land use moderate. I certainly don't believe in McMansions, but I also am concerned about the proliferation of high density housing too. And I'm sure that's controlled completely, but from an outside perspective, you want to be involved from someone that's been with the city for as long as I have and lived here. So I think I have something to offer and would be interested, although hearing all of these names of people that have dropped off has me a little concerned.
Well, I'll put in a plug for you because as a lot of people on here can testify to, half of volunteering is showing up.
Yeah,
And you're
sure.
there and you're here and you showed up and you're interested. So, kudos for that.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I was involved with, I guess you could say, acting chief. I managed the contracts for law enforcement for Dayton, Willamina, Sheridan, and Lafayette for a number of years, and went to innumerable city council meetings and was involved with city committees. And then, of course, as the chief in Cornelius, it was the same thing. So I know a little bit about county and city government, not enough. I need to learn more about land use issues, but I'm adept at learning OARs and ORSs, and I'm just interested. That's all.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions for Ken?
Easy.
Easy peasy. Anyone offer? Oh, I see Mary, go ahead.
Thanks, Jeff. I just want to make some comments about for Captain Summers, who spent a lot of time at the county. And in talking to staff and department heads who were there and worked with him, I just got an awful lot of extremely complimentary background on him. And while we did meet, Captain Summers was there before I was. And I've just heard some wonderful things about him and his level of engagement. And so I very much appreciate the fact that he's willing to throw his hat in for this position.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any others? Meryl, did you have your hand up there? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. I was just wondering, what do you think would be your biggest contribution you could make to the NUMAC committee?
Sure. I think a rural perspective, like I said, from a moderate perspective, I see the density in the city of Newberg and the concern for some of the closer in metro areas that have really embraced that. And I'm concerned about that, but I'm also concerned about seeing our farmland built upon and completely, overcome with houses. So I guess it would just be that I don't have a radical agenda either way, but I'm willing to listen and to learn and to engage vociferously when needed. I think I could help there.
Can I ask one follow-up question?
I'm sure.
Okay, not related to the previous question, but this is a 3-year term. Would you be available for the full extent of the term?
Yes, my wife and I built our house here 13 years ago. We don't see ourselves leaving. We built it designed to retire in, and that is certainly our goal. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, and Ellen, you have your hand up. Want to go ahead?
Yes, I've known Ken probably since about the first day he walked into the city of Newberg to go to work.
You have.
Yeah. And I would like to recommend to the city and the county the appointment of Ken Summers to the NUMAC.
Ellen, is that an official nomination?
Yes, it is.
Second.
Okay. Second. Okay, we have a nomination and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Rick Rogers,
Yes.
Mary Starrett,
Yes.
Jeffrey Massal,
Yes.
Alan Halstead,
Yes.
Kit Johnson,
Yes.
Meryl Kunkel.
Yes.
Well, I believe we have a unanimous approval. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So the next steps in this process, Ken, is I will forward your nomination on to the Newberg City Council for their consideration. I've got that scheduled for August 15th. Mr. Friday will forward your nomination on to the County Board of Commissioners for their consideration. So once we have both of those bodies do their review, then I will be back in touch with you. So hopefully we're going to get you on board before our next meeting in August.
Sounds very good. Thank you so much. Is it appropriate to continue watching, or
It is.
Executive?
It is fully appropriate for you to sit and watch.
Okay.
So I suppose maybe I jumped the gun a bit. I should have said tentatively welcome aboard.
Right.
City Council approval, but
I understand. Thank you. Thank you all.
okay, so moving on, our next item of interest is a review of Newberg Urban Area Growth Management Agreement Amendments. And is that going to be you, Doug, or someone else?
I will start it off. Mr. Friday has a memo in the packet as well. We did a couple of supplementals for you as we were coordinating and get everything put together. So you reviewed the draft of the proposed modifications, I'm going to call them, and I'm going to simplify this, the IGA, because I don't want to use the acronym. It's too long for me. and it is a Tuesday night. So you reviewed this once before, and if you peruse through your minutes, there were some questions. So Mr. Friday needed to take the proposed modifications in front of County Council, and I'll let him speak to that. You had some comments in regards to issues about de novo hearings versus on the record. There was some consensus by the commission about de novo hearings, and so I've made the necessary adjustments in the track changes version. Hopefully I caught them all, as well as the clean version of that. Also in your minutes last time was, NewMac is not approving the proposed modifications to the IGA. We're just getting your feedback. Modifications to the IGA require review by the Newberg City Council and the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners. So there is a process to go through. I'm not going to get into a whole lot more detail because we've been through this once before, made the adjustments I noted in your document. I'll let Mr. Friday speak to any kind of feedback he got from County Council and let him speak to his memo that he included in the packet as well.
Yeah, I think the only thing that our county council identified was just there's a section related to mediation, and the question came up of, what happens if the city and the county don't agree even after mediation. And I guess I don't envision that being a strong possibility, but it is always a possibility. And the second item I had was just about road ownership and maintenance. As I noted in my memo, there's about 20 roads or portions of roads that are inside the city limits in Newberg that the city has not taken over ownership or maintenance of. And these roads are maintained by Yamhill County. And there's language in the agreement that's, I think it's been there for a long time, that said, we'll discuss having those be transferred over, and all the time that the agreement's been in effect, nothing's been transferred over, at least not to my knowledge. And I had brought this up a few other times, and I just think as a matter of public policy, if the property is in the city limits, then the road serving that property also ought to be in the city limits. So I just made some suggested modifications to section 5 sub 1E that strengthens it to basically say that the city will assume ownership of and maintenance responsibility for county roads within their corporate limits. I would also, throw out there that it would be kind of confusing if I was someone who paid taxes to the city of Newberg, and then, I call for some issue related to my road, and the city said, no, that's not us. You need to talk to the county. And just as a matter of trying to, assist the citizens, I think this is a good policy, not to mention the fact that it's something just of basic fairness, that if it's something that the city of Newberg is collecting tax money on, that really ought to be the city of Newberg that is maintaining the roads.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just a clarification question. The language in the agreement just directs that to happen, right? Would there be a mechanism to kind of prompt it along, since, like you were saying, nothing's moved on it in some time? Or that something council would have to take up?
Yeah, it's something the council and the Board of Commissioners would need to take up. But I had thrown this question out to Doug that, why would we want to expand the urban growth boundary or urban reserve area if we can't, resolve this issue? Why expand it more when, we've got issues already for property in the city limits? And that's not at all something I'm I'm wanting to do, but at the same time, you know, at some point, these roads, I'm thinking Newell Road and Hadley Road, they serve a subdivision. They're entirely well within the city limits of Newberg and haven't been taken in.
Okay. Is that it on the presentation portion, or?
That's it.
Anything else, Doug?
So there's always the point counterpoint. So fortunately, Ken and I get along very well. So there have been roads that the city has taken over from Yamhill County in the past. Springbrook Road from 99 down to 219. Crestview Drive, basically from the city limit line on its east edge next to Oxburg Lakes out to Springbrook Road. City recently took over jurisdiction of that particular roadway. Ken and I have chatted about Weatherly Way as an example. So Weatherly Way was constructed by ODOT as part of the bypass. And there's an IGA between ODOT and the county where ODOT needs to transfer the jurisdiction of that roadway to the county. And then the county can transfer that roadway to the city. We've been asking County Public Works about that for, well, since the bypass opened. And so we were hoping that somebody would initiate that. We're ready to take jurisdiction of that roadway, but there's some processes to go through. I can say that our city engineer has repeatedly said that we only take roads once they are approved to city standards. And so the roads that we have accepted and changed jurisdictional authority have been those that have been fully approved. Ken mentioned that there was about 20 segments and he was going to get me the map and so forth for that. I know off the top of my head, there's a portion of Columbia. There's some portions of Chehalem Drive, Bell Road, North Valley Road, College Street, Waterfront Street, 14th Street, Winooski Road, and so forth. And so Ken and I kind of need to coordinate about that list. All I've got is a map. I think I mentioned to Ken once before, it's like from 1988 that showed the jurisdictional authority of the roadways. And I just haven't seen anything newer than that. And Ken was correct, you know, to do a jurisdictional transfer of roadway, it does require both the city and the county to have that discussion. And so it's just not a unilateral that it just occurs. There is a actual process to go through. That's handled by our engineering department that takes that information forward to our city council for consideration. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
If I could,
questions? Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I just, if I could add, I am totally willing to take on the one they described related to ODOT. We have a new assistant county counsel that I think could assist with our public works department. And I said, you know, hey, if we can help do that and get a small victory, I'm be very happy to assist with that so we could do some of these others. There have been portions of roads taken in, but I believe that was when, you know, the city took in the property. I'm specifically talking about property that's already been taken in. So that's my rebuttal.
And I think another one we'd be interested or considering to talk about, Ken, is McCurran Court from Springbrook down to the cul-de-sac, because ODOT did a bunch of improvements down in there as well. And I talked to the city engineer. I think there's a few improvements that PGE may have to do someday, but that would be another one we're willing to talk about a transfer on.
Okay, so essentially, we're just looking to beef up the language so it makes it a little easier for city and county to come to an agreement. Yeah, am I understanding right? Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. That sounds good. So we'll need a motion to approve the amendments. If someone wants to offer that.
Well, I think first, Mr. Chair, if there's any discussion about any of the proposed amendments.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
You have a track
change. If we'd offer some
version.
discussion, and I see Mayor Rogers has his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna respond a little bit to what Ken said, and greetings, Ken. The idea of roads being the purview of different jurisdictions is not new to Newberg, as you well know. We've got plenty of ODOT roads running through our streets, so that's our city. So we are well aware of that. For myself, if this comes to City Council, I would love to know a little history on these roads and why they haven't been brought in. I'd love to know that. But other than that, and then I guess just for Doug, has our city council reviewed this yet, or would that come later?
The changes in the IGA, is that what you're talking about here?
Exactly.
No, it has not. So
Okay.
again, we're looking for feedback about any additional adjustments, modifications, something you don't like in the proposed changes. Then I will bring that forward to the Newberg City Council for their consideration. And then once you're done, then I will send the paperwork to Ken, and he will take it in front of the County Board of Commissioners for their consideration for the changes.
Okay. All right. Now follow on, Chair.
Go ahead.
And then just, I guess the other thing is that, the language does pretty directly say that the city is going to assume responsibility, which I think is perfectly fine, but it clearly states that it's not an if or, it is pretty clear. So just to make that point.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I see Alan, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
As I recall, reading through the documents, there's a clause in there that the city would accept the streets when they're brought up to city standards, which I think is appropriate, and that should occur. The adjacent property owners that want to come into the city would bring the street up to city standards as part of the annexation. Historically, that's the part that hasn't happened. People have annexed into the city along a street, but the street was never brought up to city standards. That's what's created the problem from years gone by. And the city has refused to take those streets because they aren't to city standards. And the county says, well, it's in your jurisdiction, so it's up to you to do it. So to me, the answer is those streets, probably with an LID, with some compensation or seed money from the county and the city to bring them up to city standards, and then the city should accept them. It's my 2 cents worth.
Okay, and Mary, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff. A couple of, this is a procedural question, and Ken Friday would probably be the go-to guy on this one. In terms of recusing from this particular aspect of the vote at this juncture, would it be appropriate for me to recuse myself because the board is going to be voting on this?
I guess I would think you'd be able to vote on this and take a position on it, and either for or against it. I don't think you have to recuse yourself any more than any other member, because we have a city council member or two on here, and I don't think you're required to recuse yourself unless you want to.
No, I don't want to, so thank you.
Okay, anyone else with questions or comments? Okay, yeah, I think the language can help, the city and county kind of move toward resolution. And as long as, like Alan was pointing out, there's, some work as far as bringing them up to city standards and kind of meet in the middle on that it's something that can move from the back burner to a more active thing that we take on. So with that said, would someone like to offer a proposal on the amendment change?
I would recommend that the revised intergovernmental agreement be forwarded to the city and the county for their approval, with recommendation to approve.
I second that. Starrett.
Okay, so we have a proposal to move ahead and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Richard Rogers,
Yeah, yes. The only thing I'd love to see language in there that says that the county and the city will work together to make sure that the financing to bring these into order would work. But I'll vote yes anyway. I'll bring that up later. And Mary, thank you for the question regarding whether or not we needed to recuse. Appreciate it.
Mary Stark,
Yes.
Jeff Missel,
Yes.
Alan Hosted,
Yes,
Kit Johnson,
Yes.
Merrill Kunkel.
Yes.
Okay, and that passes unanimously. So we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is a review of Newberg Urban Area Management Commission bylaws and amendments. And Mr. Rex?
So thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the corollary piece to the IGA. So as we noted at your prior meeting, it's been a number of years since either one of these documents had been touched to be updated. And there have been ORS changes and administrative rule changes, been some changes in NewMac itself. So we worked with our city council, city attorney's office, I should say, and proposed the amendments. We sent those out to Mr. Friday for his review. Again, I'll let him speak to county council if any comments on the proposed amendments. But this would bring something that would be current. So bringing it from 1980 to 2022. So I figure, 42 years, it's time to update documents once in a while. But if there are any specific questions that you might have, I would be more than happy to attempt to answer them for you.
Does anyone have any questions for Doug? Alan, go ahead.
nothing.
Okay, and Meryl, you have your hand up, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had one recommendation or suggestion, I suppose, which is in the meetings article, and it's talking about meetings shall be held the fourth Tuesday of January at Newberg City Hall. And I was wondering if it would be worthwhile to include the Zoom or hybrid option based upon how we're meeting now.
Is that something that would need to be included in language, Doug, or just something that is acted upon, based on conditions and what's going on?
We can definitely do that because there are new protocols statewide. Basically have hybrid meetings. So Board of Commissioners has been doing it. Newberg City Council has been doing it. So that's something that would be easy enough if you get to a point of doing a motion to add under the meeting section language to the effect of, hybrid through Zoom or some other electronic media form. We never know. Zoom might not always be here.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, at this time, anyone like to offer a resolution with the included language regarding the Zoom and hybrid meetings?
So moved.
Second,
And a second?
second,
Okay, a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Rick Rogers,
Yes.
Mary Stewart,
Yes.
Jeff Missel,
Yes.
Alan Hosted,
yes,
Kit Johnson,
Yes.
and Merle Kunkel.
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. So moving on, the next session would be public hearings if we had any, and we don't have any. So we'll move on to items from staff.
So in your packet on your agenda, I had put a to be determined for your next meeting, but I had also sent an email out to all of you to hold August 23rd. So we have, Ken and I have been working feverishly away, and so we will have a public hearing scheduled before you on August 23rd at 7 p.m. That meeting will be held at the Public Safety Building, so it will be a hybrid. Commissioner Halstead asked if one of the meetings, if we could meet in person, and so we are making that happen. We'll also do it over Zoom for those who choose not to attend in person. So again, August 23rd, 7 p.m., Public Safety Building, 401 East 3rd Street.
Is there any other date option by any chance?
Well, per your existing bylaws, we usually meet on Tuesdays. And we put together all the hearing notice information. It's ready to go out to be able to do that. The applicant has been notified of the hearing date as well. I take it, Mr. Chair Musil, you're not going to be around?
Well, I do have an event plan in coordination with the Tunes on Tuesday folk there to do something at their intermission, coordinated with what I'm doing the next day. And I'm just looking at the timing. I should be able to come to the, maybe work them both together and get the meeting opened and everything.
Yeah. Jeff, is that the Tunes on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The proclamation too. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to run across the Tunes on Tuesday and then scurry back to the Public Safety Building, maybe.
Yeah.
Doug, do you want to see if the group wants to start later? Would that be would that assist?
Or earlier. Yeah,
or earlier.
We have court in the Public Safety Building on Tuesdays. And so I think the earliest we could start would be 6 p.m. Get the room set up from court and get it converted over to what we would do for a public meeting. Or we could move it back to 7:30 or 8.
Oh, because the Tunes on Tuesday thing runs, so the intermission should be right around, I'm guessing 7:30. And yeah, so if we could do 6, that would be helpful. I was going to do something there, and Mayor Rogers is going to read a proclamation at the intermission as well.
Well, then I would ask the commissioners if we started at 6 p.m. on the August 23rd. Would that work for all of you?
I'm okay with that.
Would that work with everyone? Sounds good. If we could get that changed around, Doug, that would be appreciated.
We will work tomorrow to change the hearing notices. The information that's going out. Faye, I don't think we haven't sent anything anywhere today, did we?
Yeah, that's just off on this one, so I might be able to grab to have it. I haven't sent it to the paper yet, though.
Okay, so we'll make corrections. We'll make course corrections. That's fine.
Thank you. Much
6
appreciated.
p.m. on August 23rd. And I will let the applicant know tomorrow as well. And that is all the items. What was that?
Oh, I was just going to say there's always turbulence whenever we're attempting one of these things. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Doug.
Ken, did you have anything to add under?
No,
items of
I
staff?
wanted to say thank you, Doug, for all that you've done on this. You've definitely carried the heavier burden on this.
You're more than welcome. It's been a while since we got to reconvene NewMac, so it's a good thing. Get everybody together and talk about the things that are coming before us. All right, Mr. Chair, that's all I had.
Thank you, Doug. Now, items from commissioners. Anybody have anything they'd like to bring up or comment on?
Well, if you're going to be at Newberg Public Safety Building anyway, you ought to run up for Tunes on Tuesdays on the 23rd, so you all can plan on that, hopefully.
There you go. Okay, well, on that note, let's go ahead and adjourn the July 26, 2022 meeting of the NewMac. Love the acronym. Okay, you all have a good evening, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug.